record. All right. So, Mike, by the way, how do I say your last name? Is it Lautensack?
Yeah, a Lautensack. Yeah,
Lautensack. Okay.
You got it.
Didn't want to get that wrong. So I wanted to reach out and talk to you because I've been watching specifically your scorecards. So you've kind of self-reported. You have some values, you have some numbers that you want to hit as a property manager, and whether you hit them or not, you're kind of self-reporting. I've specifically seen it on LinkedIn. I don't know if you're posting it anywhere else or you're sending it out, but tell me about the scorecard that you're using. Tell me about how it came about, what the numbers are, and why it's important to your company.
Well, the reason I developed it was that there is a lot of different articles and whatnot talking about KPIs and metrics that a property management company should hit, but they're all designed for internal performance. How much money you're making, how many new clients you have, all these various things that are great for you, but your clients don't care about any of it, right? Your clients don't care about how much money you make or have you brought on new properties this month. That's irrelevant to them. But what do they care about? Did you collect my rent this month? How long was the vacancy period between the last two tenants? If we're selling the property, how quickly did you sell it? Things like Google rating is important to any company, so we kind of throw that in there, but it's more about things that a particular owner would care about. And that's why we started with that process. Started to think what's important to them. We came up with 10, and we might even make some changes to it a little bit, but we wanted to have a scorecard that says, this is what we decide that tells us if we're doing a good job or a bad job. So that's really was the genesis of the process to kind of narrow that down into some metrics. So we've been doing it for almost a year. We do post it on LinkedIn, and I don't know, I think she posts on a number of other sites. And also is a little bit of a kind of a clickbait thing where we get links back to our website, which helps with SEO and some other things. But yeah, so that was the whole point of it, was to try to determine how are we doing, not from our internal point of view, but from our client's point of view.
So you've only been doing it about a year?
Yeah.
The reason I bring that up is I think I found it a year ago, and like I thought you would have been doing it forever, and so it clearly made an impact on me. I think I found it right away, and I said, hey guys, because we were talking a lot about market updates about a year ago. And I know the scorecards are slightly different than a market update, but I just love the quantification of what you were doing. So I immediately found it. I started sharing it with my team, and I thought it was great. So I'm actually chuckling that like I probably found one of the first one or two, and I just thought you had been doing it for a while, because it's well designed. It's a great template. So kind of describe it for somebody reading about this or listening, and we'll of course include a screenshot. But how did you decide what was in it, and how did you decide how to design it? Because it is one of the better infographics that I've seen, meaning that it's not just a bunch of numbers, like it's very visually appealing, right? And so clearly some thought went into this. So walk me through how you got to the format that you have.
Well, I'll take credit for the content, but I will not take any credit for the actual presentation. We have a virtual assistant that does all of our social media, so she actually designed it. But
well, kudos to her. Please pass on that. I used to do infographics as like a very past career, and it is a very well designed graphic. So please pass on my.
I agree, because one, I'm a tweaker, and I've not really tweaked it at all since the first version. But as far as the actual content, we came up with 10 items. I wanted to hit all of our departments. So we do rentals, we do HOA, we do sales, and we do maintenance. So I wanted a couple metrics in each department, and some were much easier. The rental department was fairly easy to come up with certain metrics. Some of the other departments, we did struggle a little bit. For example, maintenance, it's hard to come up with a quantifiable number. So we did come up with a percentage of maintenance cost to total revenue. We thought that was a way to measure the owners would be looking at that and saying, all right, our goal is 15%. If it's below 15%, that seems at least somewhat reasonable. And a lot of these numbers, we don't know what is reasonable or not. At this point, we're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But, if your maintenance cost is 33%, that seems high to me, as an investor, that would seem high. So that's, a lot of that was kind of give and take and trying to figure out what is a reasonable number. Collections, we decided 98% would be our number. So, that we're trying to collect at least 98%. I think if we do that from an owner's point of view, we've probably done a pretty good job.
Mhm.
And same thing with HOA fees. So we did 98% with the HOA fees also. So as long as we're collecting 98% or more, we deem that to be a pretty good month.
And I love that you had the kind of green and red. You're very transparent. Like we're on track, we're off track. Is your team rallying around this? Do you use these internally as well? Do people like get excited about hitting their numbers?
Well, we did, because we did a fairly substantial change in the way we do bonuses and incentives within the company starting January 1st. So we had really designed this back in really the late summer, and a lot of these numbers are in there. So the staff is also incentivized to hit these numbers. So it's kind of, hopefully the entire organization is incentivized to kind of hit these numbers. So, so what's kind of the purpose of that was, one, to identify what are the numbers, and then two, to create incentives internally to hit them.
That's great. And from my understanding is you're only publishing this once a month, right? It's a monthly
That's
scorecard.
right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So I love the scorecard. That's one of the reasons I reached out to you. And I don't want to focus on that because that scorecard is just so great. And I think it's so important. But that's just one post a month. Meanwhile, I follow you on LinkedIn. I just constantly see some more content from you. So that's not the only thing you're posting about, because you only get to do it once a month, right? So what else are you posting? Because I just feel like I always see Del Val Realty every time I sign on to LinkedIn. So what are the other things that you're posting about?
Well, one of the things they're working on, and we're still working on it, is for properties that are for rent. So 99% of this industry takes a picture of the front door, and then they create an ad and they post that front door picture, which is very boring and provides really no information. And then they have an ad. But we decided, all right, why not create a thumbnail, I think is the right term, where we'll have a picture of something a little more exciting, but we'll have a headline.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a great name, a great yard, big yard or something, or it's near a lake or whatever it is. So we put a headline, and then we even put a sub headline, and then we'll put 3, 4, 5 bullet points that people would want to know, and very quick information. How many bedrooms, bath, and then the price. And then we might even have a special, 13-month special, where they get 1 month free. So we create more of an exciting flyer kind of thing as opposed to a picture of the front door. So we've been doing that for the last several months, and we continue to work on that to try to get it better. We're testing different headlines and different ways we structure it. Sometimes we use stars or, different sunbursts to try to highlight some feature of the property that we're really trying to highlight. But that picture is a lot more exciting than most rental advertisements. So that's one of the things we're doing.
Totally agree. I've watched it. So let's focus on that for a quick second. There's a dichotomy here that we're talking about. When you think about, a property management company, your client is really the owner. And so when you do the scorecard, you're promoting for the owner. But when you promote the properties for rent, that's really not promoted at an owner necessarily, right? Like you're promoting properties for rent because they're for rent. So what I've watched is you guys spend a fair amount of time actually promoting your inventory, but that's a tenant, right? Or that's a real estate agent opportunity. That's not for your clients. So how are you finding it when you're actually promoting, your inventory? And is that leading to more business development deals from owners? You see where I'm going? Like it's a different concept.
Yeah, maybe indirect. We don't do it. A lot of this stuff we're not doing directly to get the phone to ring with potential clients. Now, it may happen, but that's really not the main objective. So in that case, the objective is to get the property rented faster. So our theory is that if I can rent it faster, that owner's going to be happy and they'll refer other business to us or they'll stay with us. So that, that happens. We also do, we use a lot of, when we're advertising for help wanted, we do a lot of realtors and different positions that we have open. We create flyers and we used all the various social media sites to kind of promote that. And all that stuff isn't necessarily to drive business into us, but it's to enhance the business. So hopefully it's working better and clients stay longer and refer other people to us.
Well, that's fair, but I actually think there's something more strategic going on. I'll be honest with you. So, Mike, I've run businesses for years. I typically follow. If I run a business, I follow a lot of my competitors on social media because I want to know what they're talking about. And it's a weird concept because when you own rental properties in Philadelphia, we don't really think of other properties as our competitors, but we have a voyeurism, like a need, like or a want to look in and be like, well, what's the other inventory? Which is competition. It really is what it is, right? So if I have two great properties in downtown Philadelphia, I'd actually probably really enjoy following a site, sorry, a profile who's going to be promoting other rental properties. Are they going up? Are they going down? How are they promoting the properties? I mean, maybe you haven't thought it through, but isn't that what we're really doing? Like, wouldn't I want to see all the other inventory the same way that I want to follow my competitors as a business owner?
I mean, that's to a certain extent branding just by having our name and our logo out there everywhere. So we get seen by investors. So when they finally do, or they're ready to make a decision and they see my logo and they've seen it before, it naturally should help with the process. But that's more about density and making sure you get a lot of stuff out all the time.
Yes, and maybe you hadn't thought about it that way. Maybe you're not even thinking about it that way now. But when I think about it and I watch it, I'm just like, well, yeah, like that's just reminding me every day. There's this great company called Del Val Realty, and they're managing other properties that, by the way, look just like my properties, or maybe they look better than my properties, or maybe I think my properties are better. That's got to take a toll on me. It's got to create an impression so that when I call you, now all of a sudden I think of you guys as an expert. I'm like, well, you clearly know what you're doing because for a year now I've been watching you post properties, like rent the properties. So I think there's a lot of value in that not enough property managers think about. So it is, it
I
is. Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you expand on that.
would agree that if I'm a rental property owner and I'm seeing an ad with nice headlines with catchy, really tight little bullet points, and I see the other ad's got a front door, there's no question where you're going to go.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, exactly. And there's so when we talk about all the time, we teach our BDMs this. There's a scientific term called the mere exposure effect. And it's basically, if you see somebody enough, you start trusting them more. Like if you just see somebody over and over and over again. So obviously, Michael, you and I have known each other for years. We've been on calls, we made each other at conferences. I'm guessing just the sheer repetition of us seeing each other creates trust. And I think that's what we do with our marketing. And social media is the cheapest way to do that. It's just like, I've seen the Del Val logo over and over again. I just keep seeing it. I keep seeing it. And therefore, whether logical or not, I have more trust. Do you think that's a part of the plan?
Question, for example, yourself, yeah, we've talked a few times, but if I did not see your LinkedIn every time I go onto LinkedIn, and you keep refreshing my memory of you and what you're doing and all that, it helps enormously. You become, in my mind, an expert in the industry.
Yeah.
So there's no question that that happens. I mean, you become the perceived expert just by having your post out there. Some of them I see are not even necessarily about business, but you're there.
It's true. Yeah. That, by the way, that is something I think a lot about. I think the best social media posts do cross over the personal boundary. So I've spoken at conference before and people say, oh, I don't want anything about me personally online. And I'm like, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. However, if it's you versus me, and I'm posting pictures of me on the boat over the weekend and people get to know me personally, I can't deny how important that is in trust and likability, you know? So
I agree
I think I
100%.
wish,
Now, for me personally, I've not quite crossed over. I
yeah.
do separate the two, but there's no question it works in my mind.
Yeah, because you probably are doing business with people where you're like, hey, this is Tammy and she's posting all the time and seems like a very trustworthy person, right? And now when you get on a call with Tammy and you decide I'm gonna refinance a property with her or something like that, it just gives you, you know, more trust. So I think a
Right.
lot of us get that. It just it takes some courage to actually do that for sure.
No question. And, you have to be comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, totally, totally. Well, that's what I hear all the time when I speak. They're like, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm like, I don't blame you. I'm just letting you know, like it's undeniable. It works, you know? But the content that you guys have posted has really impressed me. And so we talked about the scorecard, which I think is just there's nobody in this. I will just say, I'll go on record, Mike, and say that nobody's got as good of a scorecard as you have. I love it. And you know, have you seen the Rin scale scorecard? Like we have our own BizDev
yeah.
scorecard now. Yes. So you are a big inspiration for that. Thank you very much. I'll give credit where credit is due. Your scorecard is amazing. The marketing promotion that you're doing is great. Now you have the book. So we were bonding over that. I got it right away. I'm very impressed. It is packaged extremely well. How are you using the book and the content on social media? What's the plan there?
Well, it's again, it's like a lot of marketing. It's really designed to create perception that I'm the expert. And now everybody I run into, your email signature, you'll see a logo at the bottom. Our website, every communication with owners or potential owners are also getting a link to purchase the book, or in some cases we're giving it away for free, kind of as a lead magnet. Uh, but it now should do a lot of the heavy lifting for my marketing instead of me having to spend time and effort to convince somebody I'm the expert. The book does that job for me.
It's true. And that's the thing I've learned. You know, I've got two books written. Um, you don't just wake up and spout off your thoughts. Like to get a book written, you really have to clarify your thinking, right? It is really like you will not put something in print that has not been thought through and not, you know, managed.
Right.
And that's what I get when I go through this and I've been reading it. So it's great. So I'm guessing that's going to become more and more a part of your social media. Just, you know, hire the social media manager, just pick a random page and just talk about what's in the book because it is excellent. I will say that as I've gone through it. So that was my high level audit. So, you know, obviously the way you're marketing properties, having the book, which is amazing, and of course the scorecard, which I love. What else am I missing? What else are you doing on social media that I may not be asking about?
I try to once, twice, maybe three times a month to put together a fairly well thought out video. And that video can be anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. And there are certain people out there that I kind of follow. Everness is one of them. So I see one of their videos and I grab their idea and I create something similar myself.
Oh, that's
So
good.
I give them credit.
Yeah.
um, but it's informational for my clients or prospective clients about some hot topic. And that's the other thing I try to do is get my picture, my name, my videos out there at least once or twice a month at a minimum.
That's great. When I watch your content, I don't see a lot of your face, right? I see a lot of content, but I see the doors, I see the scorecard. You and I have met many times, but like I don't see a lot of your face out there. So is that just because it's easier? I mean, have you thought about that? Is that
Um,
something you're preferring to do?
and I would say even the last video or two, I have switched it up a little bit where I'll do the first 30 seconds, 45 seconds, I will have full picture on me, kind of like
Mhm.
this.
Yeah.
And then I'll go to where, I'm a small little circle at the bottom. So yeah, I'm actually kind of aware of that. So I've been trying to to change that a little bit. But I don't know, it wasn't really intentional not to do it that way either, so.
Well, the takeaway for me is that if anybody is just saying, I want to invest in social media, but it's a deal breaker for me that I don't want to be out there. Because I mean, I hear that all the time. And I totally get it. I totally get why people are uncomfortable doing that. And it's the opposite of how I do it. You know, I'm not just like, oh, like I've learned about the mere exposure effect, like you and I were just talking about. But I would say if you and I didn't meet at conferences, I wouldn't even know what Mike looks like. I would just know Del Val, and it would still be a
Okay.
positive impact. It would still be like, whoa, this is a great property management company, or this is somebody that I want to call if I'm buying property in Philadelphia. And I had a positive impact from your social media without really ever seeing your face. So I think you're, even though I would encourage you to do more because you know, you're a great looking guy. It's going to do good
That's
for,
that's a great tip.
yeah.
It's a great observation. I'll definitely work on that.
Yeah, I would love to see more of you, but even if I didn't, I still like had nothing but trust in the brand because you're consistent. You're giving numbers. And I think that's the consistency that you're doing is great. So, all right, under the hood, popping the hood up, you kind of hinted at it. VAs, how you getting all this done? Because every time I pull up LinkedIn, I see Del Val. You're doing something right. You're there. So how are you getting all this done?
Well, one, I mentioned earlier, we do have a VA that manages the whole process for us. We use a software called Social Champ. Um, and that software allows you to kind of preload up, I guess, and schedule out for the next 10, 20 days, all your social media stuff.
Yeah,
So, again, we repeat things fairly repetitively.
yeah.
So we'll have, and that, on any given day, she'll have 30 or 40 different things kind of queued up. So a lot of them may be properties we have for rent, but anything about the book or any other thing, she'll probably have it scheduled out for the next 20 days. So, she does that, and she does all the social media for the agents. Any leasing or sales agent that wants social media, we allow them to use the VA to kind of promote themselves.
Oh.
Yes, we
This is
really
on.
encourage it within the company.
So okay, I love that you brought this up. I wasn't expecting to ask that question. So you're doing transactional brokerage side as well, right? So when
Oh
you
yeah,
say any agent, you both have a property management company and transactional brokerage, and you're
that's right.
supporting the agents with the same team.
That's right. Yep. Like we encourage them. We have to maybe even coach them or coerce them to get more presence on social media. So we spend a lot of time teaching them what to do. We provide them with a VA to help them do it. We tell them, just give us a couple words, couple texts, and we'll kind of take it from there. Give us one photo, couple bullet points, and we'll handle it from there. So they don't even have to do much more than that. But that way they can promote themselves out there also.
That's a great point. And so sometimes I do this on these calls, Mike. So I'm saying to the writer, because the writer is going to watch this, writer, let's make sure we talk about the Mike's getting double value out of the transactional real estate side as well. Because not all of our clients have that, but since you do, I love that you're crossing over on that. So I just wanted to really bring that up. I only follow you on LinkedIn, as far as I know, but I'm active on other social properties. So where are you guys spending most of your focus? Is it just LinkedIn, or are you guys everywhere?
It's also Facebook,
Okay.
Twitter, X, and then a little bit Instagram. And I think they're even doing TikTok today. I don't know. They tell me they are. Um, but yeah, I would say Facebook is the other one. We keep playing with and testing Facebook Marketplace. I'm not sure how that's going. I think we have so many problems with it that it's very difficult. But I would say
That's
Facebook
probably
is the
that's
other one.
probably more for the rental, right? Like for promoting the properties. Yeah,
Yeah, but there's a lot of weird things that go on Facebook Marketplace.
I know. Yes,
So
totally. So obviously, I'm more interested in how you're promoting it to owners, but yeah, I totally get that. A lot of our clients are using Marketplace. All right, so we talked about who's doing it. You got one VA full time, right? And I'm
yep,
guessing you have a meeting with this person, like you got to be given some content. Do you guys have a standing meeting? How does this VA get the ideas out of Mike's head? Because I think that's probably the
Well, whenever I have something, I just forward it to her. At this point, it's great because I
yeah.
just forward it to her and she knows kind of what I want. So, but she's been with us now for almost 2 years.
Well, let's
But
talk about that because that's really important. I think that too many of us are like, oh, this is too much work. I just wish they thought like I did. Was she just amazing and she was getting it all from the beginning? Did you have to correct her? What is it like if
um,
I start today? What should I expect?
yeah, like on the social champ, I had to coach her on that and kind of get her to use it. But now she uses it religiously. Um, so it's been myself. We have a sales director, and she reports directly to the sales director, so she gives her a lot of content.
Yeah,
And then, as I said, more and more our leasing agents and sales agents are using her. But anybody in the company has anything, if we get a 5-star review, she puts it out there, and whatever else, trainings and things like that are all posted on the various social media categories.
perfect. Thank you for sharing that. So my guess is you really had to be a little more hands-on in the beginning. You had to get a little more feedback. But now she's learned this is how Mike thinks, this is what the voice is. And now it's almost like you said, you just send an email or you just forward something and it just shows up the way you want it. But it took work to get there, right?
At this point, I trust whatever she comes up with will be fine. I mean, I don't want to micromanage it quite to that level. That she could pick the colors and all that. I'm not going to kind of micromanage it to that level. But we have a meeting with her every Friday morning, last 15, 20 minutes tops,
Yeah.
just to check in, see how things are going and that kind of thing. But that's it.
All right. So about a weekly meeting and then other parts of your team work with her, give her feedback. Okay. All right. So important question. This is something I get a lot is, oh my gosh, what if they say something that gets us sued? Or what if they do something that's not on brand? Like, how much concern do you have about turning this over to somebody to be the public face of Del Val without you reviewing everything?
I don't have any concerns with her doing anything outside, but she certainly hasn't given me any reason to be concerned. But if it is something I want, it's going to be text heavy. I will write the text for her and give it to her. If it's more of a poster kind of thing, she does that. For example, I would say one area where we had a lot of learning curve was for sale properties. Um, some of our sales agents and sales director tends to think in terms of they're selling a residential property. They talk about the beautiful street and the backyard and all this, and I've had to train them. That doesn't matter. You got to talk about the ROI, the cash flow, the upside potential. So there's an example where I did have to try to get them to understand that much. Their audience is investors. They're not the people that are going to be living in the properties.
So it doesn't sound like you have a lot of fear over them doing something that would get you in trouble.
No.
That's perfect. I love it. I also agree. I'll just tell you I say that for the writers. I talk to people and they're just like, oh my gosh, what if, and as you know, as an entrepreneur, like we live in the world of what if, right? But
I will tell you one thing I don't do is I don't spend any time on LinkedIn looking at my own comments or Facebook. So, I mean, people could be leaving comments and I wouldn't even know it. So, um,
that's okay. That's actually a great point. I've left some comments, many comments on your post because they're good. So you're not even seeing those. That's actually good for me to know.
probably not, because I just figured if there's something that they're going to say negative, I'd rather just let, you
Yeah,
know.
that's fair. But sometimes people have questions. So this is actually a really good question. Have you thought like if people really do have questions and you create content, we hope that people engage. And now I engage and I say, oh my gosh, this property is amazing. Who do I contact about managing my property like this? Like, does somebody see that?
That's a good question. I'm going to assume the sales director and maybe she does, but it's probably worth me finding out and making sure that is happening. Because I don't know, actually.
I appreciate the candor. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you're successful, people are going to comment, you know, and so it's just something to think about. So I chuckle. I've definitely left lots of comments, more on your scorecards because I just think they're awesome, and I've left a lot of comments there. So even if you haven't seen them, you're hearing it from me now. I've always commented on your scorecards. I think they're great. But yes, for everybody reading or listening, if you are doing a good job and people are responding, we need to make sure that those comments are handled. So do that with what you will, Mike. But if you're a victim of your own success, people will be commenting on that.
I'm sure there's a lot of stuff we could do better, and that's probably one of them.
Yeah.
So, we're always looking for ways to kind of fine tune things.
So let's talk about what's worked. When you get deals, I mean, are you tracking this at all? Are people calling you and saying, "Hey, I'm reaching out because of X"? Are we like divorcing our results from our efforts? I'm just curious. This is totally, just an honest question. Do you hear like, "Hey, I reached out because I saw you on social," or "I'm a client," or do you just like, "Well, I do social and I take sales calls and I have no connection"? Like, how do you know if it's working?
I would say I'm down the middle a little bit. We do, I would say we track it lightly, meaning people generally will tell me, hey, I'm a referral from Joe Smith.
Yeah.
So I am aware, but do I know every single lead that comes into our universe, where they come from? Probably not, but I would say the vast majority I do. Um,
Well, I'm a kindred spirit with you. I think some business owners need to know that every marketing effort is validated. And I always say, I'm like, marketing is that one thing where you can't justify every dollar you spent. Like, just assume some of it is waste or some of it is untrackable. But like,
right.
you're better off marketing and some of it, 80% of it working versus not marketing and 0% of it working. So I totally agree with that. Like, it seems like
Uh,
you think it's worth investing in.
A little bit, but I mean, again, my energy, my time, and my focus is on the responses. You know, that's far more important than where that lead came from, as opposed to making sure that I'm responding appropriately, nurturing them along the process. That to me is far more important. So if I got two or three leads, doesn't matter to me if they came through, Lead Simple or social media, a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. My job at that point is to convert them to a client, and that's where my focus is.
Totally off topic, Mike, but I mean, this is just near and dear to me. Running a marketing agency, being on my fourth business. Um, I mean, I'd rather, like you said, I'm more concerned that the phone's not ringing than
Right.
being concerned about why the phone rang. I think that too many business owners are like, I need to know everything I spent was 100% useful versus like, hey, if the phone's not ringing, you're not growing, right? Like just make that phone ring. So it's just a sidebar, but like I feel like we're on the same page. Like just
Yeah,
delete.
I mean, I've got it dialed in enough that I can kind of turn the marketing up, get a lot of leads. I can turn it down.
Yep.
I've kind of have the ability to kind of modulate it based upon various things. For example, we've been very busy over the last couple of months, a year, with HOA work. HOA work has been really very. There's just a lot of it coming at us, so I've been a lot more spending more time over there than on the rental side. But that probably will change in the next few months. I don't know, but it kind of ebbs and flows. But we have the ability to we can dial up our marketing pretty quickly and get more leads coming in if we need them.
It's great. So that's a bold statement that a lot of prospects I talk to can't say yes to. And so you clearly have a hand on the marketing, but I love what you said. I mean, again, I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but I'm hearing that you just want to make sure that the leads are coming in, and I just think so many people get so over hyper fixated and be like, they're too worried about where the leads are coming from. But like, I'd rather leads come in than not come in. I can't say that enough. I mean, so.
Uh, Most people will identify themselves. Hey, I saw you on social media.
Yeah.
hey, another client referred me. So, in the end, I generally know where it's coming from.
Yes. Agreed. Okay. Well, this is amazing. Really appreciate your time thinking this through. So, recapping, you've told us who's doing it, which is amazing. Uh, Mostly on LinkedIn, but you're also doing some on Facebook and you're exploring more. You are crossing the borders between marketing to your owners as well as potential tenants, which you and I spent a little time talking about. That, honestly, sometimes the owners might be voyeurs looking at as if I was a tenant content, which is fantastic. Consistency, uh, these are my takeaways. Is there anything I'm not asking? I always want to make sure I'm like, what am I not asking that, like, what's the strategy that I didn't ask about?
Now you hit the big points. I mean, we're always testing things and trying different things. I'm a big believer in stealing from other people, if that's the right term, I guess, borrowing. I'll see somebody else doing something well, I will then try to mimic it. For example, I mentioned Evernest, where they do some great videos. I'll take that idea, I'll tweak it a little bit, create my own, and do something similar. So, I have my eye out a lot. And I'll be paying attention and seeing what other people are doing. If they're doing it well, we try to copy it.
I actually took a course at one point. This was years ago. It's probably 10 years ago about content creation and social media. And they said exactly what you're doing. They convinced us to read the headline of a competitor, but not read the article. Like just read the headline and say, how would you answer the question? It's not stealing if you just read the headline and you came up with your own answers. And I actually still do that to this day. But also what is you know what R&D stands for, right? As a small business.
RED?
R&D, like an R&D department.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what does R&D stand for?
Research and development.
Yes, if you're a big company. As a small company, R&D stands for rip off and duplicate. This is what we do. And that's my little joke.
I've never heard that before.
Oh yeah, we say that all the time in my entrepreneurs organization community. That's why I wanted to share that with you. It's like everybody thinks of R&D as research and
I
development.
think it's more like we borrow and we tweak.
Yes. So rip off and duplicate is what we talk about as a small business because you got to do what you got to do. It's the fastest way to research and develop.
Yeah, but if it's of interest to you, it's probably of interest to your clients.
Yes, 100%. So yeah, 100%. You are on the right track. That's amazing. Like I said, I've watched what you've done. I think it's great. So I appreciate you sharing this. I'll send you the article. I'll share with you what some other people are doing. But your market, I mean, your scorecard updates are just fantastic. So awesome. It's I just want you to know that it's not gone unnoticed and that we talk about it all the time with my team. We share it with our clients. The book is quality. I've read it, most of it. I can't say I've read the whole thing, but I've read most of it. We're promoting it to our BDMs who are having networking events, and I think that more and more of the market is actually educating people into becoming landlords or becoming better landlords versus just showing up and taking the opportunity that's there. And I just see you leading that, Mike. So I just want to say, really appreciate what you're doing. I think you're on the right track.
Well, just real quick, I did a search for the words like real estate investing or something like that in Google. And there was like 10 million results. I did a search for property management of rental properties. And there's like 1 million results.
Mhm.
So you can tell they're teaching you how to buy properties, but they're not doing a very good job at teaching you how to manage it. And that's where the money is. It's in the managing of the property.
I think that is a great mic drop moment to leave it on. Really, really agree with you, Mike. Thanks so much. Anything else you want to
Great.
add?
No, that was great. Thank you.